With the invasion and the attack on Ukraine by Russia comes another chance to add sanctions, etc. The president has been making pretty regular appearances in front of media here in recent days, and more will be coming, no doubt. So what's the upshot of all of this? Or is it too early to tell? I mean, once events start playing out, we're past the yakking phase now, right? And so we don't know, but we will continue the conversation. Let's do so today with commentator from Young Voices, political consultant and co-founder of the nonprofit media outlet Broad and Liberty, Albert Eisenberg is with us. Albert, good morning. Welcome.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for having me on.
Tell me about Broad and Liberty. I mean, I don't know if I'm saying that right as a plus sign. Broad plus Liberty. What am I pronouncing that incorrectly? Correct me there.
Correctly. You're very astute, and I appreciate it. We are a nonprofit media outlet. I noticed, like every conservative with two brain cells to rub together, that the legacy media had kind of gone off a leftwards cliff and had for the last decade, and I wanted to be a part of the solution. So I helped found a regional media outlet based out of my hometown of Philadelphia. We cover news and we share voices that are shut out of other outlets with a local and regional hook. So conservatives are very good on talk radio, and we have a lot of good national media, but we don't have very much local media, and that is the heart of the conservative movement is localism and the individual and our communities. So I founded that outlet in 2019, and we are growing, and we think we're a national model.
Albert, I have been in the Philadelphia area a fair number of times, and I would have to say that it doesn't seem a bastion of conservatism, even though it was a bastion of American liberty, and the spark that helped to light it and hone it is there. And so you're filling in an important plank. So let's get into it with Russia, because I don't think conservatives are all in agreement on what to do about Russia. And there's a problem with that, too. It's a problem with Democrats. A great Democrat from my home state, Scoop Jackson, used to say, look, we argue about everything in the Congress, but partisanship stops at the water's edge. And he believed it. We don't have that now. Has that opened the door further for Vladimir Putin?
Yeah, I think that's a good observation. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with debate on the right about, how much of an American commitment and how much blood and treasure we're going to put on the line for another nation's sovereignty. I do think we should all agree that the world is a better and safer place with America as king of the hill as opposed to Putin or the Iranian mullahs or China. And I think there are some very obvious items we can agree on starting today, which is, increasing our domestic oil production and giving Europe an alternative to Russian gas and oil. The Biden administration has been completely feckless and backwards on that. I think we need to obviously reshore a lot of our crucial and critical manufacturing and infrastructure development, because Putin is not the only one on the march. When this happens with China and the Cold War turns into a hot one, we are going to be totally hamstrung if we haven't invested in this. And the fact is, we were totally backwards after COVID. China returned a lot of its shipments of critical PPE, and we should have been warned then, and we should be warned now. So I think there are some things we can agree on the right and domestically to strengthen our country from the inside out, and that's what we should be thinking about.
Is there anybody on the horizon that is up to this particular? I just get the impression, and this involves both President Trump, some statements he's made about Putin, which I think are just off the rails, and actions by the current president that I wonder if they're playing checkers while Putin is playing three-dimensional chess here. And the Chinese sometimes as well. Am I off base in that analogy? Well, because it fills me with angst, I got to tell you.
Yeah, and it should. It fills me with angst as well. I think our adversaries see how weak we are internally. I think, the Trump comments are bizarre. And just, like everything about him are just completely related to his own personality, which is why I think he is actually lost ground with the GOP grassroots because I think people are tired of him putting himself first. But we were stronger under Trump, and Russia did not invade anywhere else. The Biden administration has led from behind in all definitions of the word. So I think a competent, conservative or nationalist candidate who can bridge the divide and rally for the country and find something between, spilling blood and treasure and American lives over another nation's sovereignty and just crossing our arms and saying, well, this isn't our problem. There has to be a third way.
Albert, though, I'm going to disagree with you on this point. The fact that they didn't go into Ukraine during the Trump presidency, I don't think means we were necessarily stronger. We became more divided during that presidency, and that has led brick by brick, mortar by mortar, to this particular moment, because a divided America is one where a world leader can do this and feel like there are no real repercussions. They can't sort their own house. Let's go. Let's get her done. I'm not going to...
I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. I think that was why as much as, the Trump economy lifted a lot of boats. And I do think America hit back at our adversaries in a way that we hadn't under Obama. I think we handled Iran much better than, I think Trump's administration handled Iran much better than the Democrats have. But you're right that the internal divisions that were, accelerated under Trump have been weakened us significantly. There's no doubting that. There's no amount of apologists that can erase that. And, long term, our country has the power to do whatever. We control our own destiny. We are America. We're still the most powerful country in the world. So we have to figure out ways to unify and move forward. And that's not just bluster. That's with real action domestically.
And then if we have to act in some capacity, is the country prepared to back that action by its president? See, I'm not sure about that. And that's a dangerous moment to me.
Yeah, it's dangerous. We have very powerful institutions, and we do have seasoned people on both sides. I would like to see America hitting back at Russian aggression as far as cyber attacks, personally. We've taken it on the chin a million times as far as our own data being released, our own diplomats even being possibly attacked. If you've seen the new reporting from CBS about people on the White House grounds getting targeted with some sort of devices that have given them concussion-like symptoms, which are very likely from the Russians. I think we need to be doing that in Moscow and stop turning the other cheek, because we have a lot of tools in our tool belt. And, the Biden administration does not inspire confidence really in anyone who's been awake. And it's a worry. So we have to, hope that cooler heads or smarter heads prevail on the Democratic side as well as the Republican side.
Albert Eisenberg, our guest, commentator, Young Voices, and the nonprofit media outlet Broad and Liberty. I appreciate you coming on today very much. Tell people where they can find you online, Albert.
They can find me on Twitter at Albidelphia. They can go to broadandliberty.com, spell out the and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with your listeners.
Albidelphia, okay. And by the way, if you're ever on Broad Street, ladies and gentlemen, that's one of the widest. It's funny. I think there's truth in labeling. There's a reason they call it Broad Street in Philadelphia. This street is wide, and and it's hot, and you're trying to go to a ball game or a football game, which I've done before. There in South Philly. It is broad. Thank you, Albert, for coming on today very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care. We're back on the Morning Wake Up, 1320 WILS.